Hello. So, this episode, you're going to hear an interview I did with a doctor I met while I was in Ecuador. He lives in Ecuador. He does an excellent job volunteering for Blanca's House, the organization that I volunteered with when I was in Ecuador. And we just really enjoyed talking about this one show that we both enjoy, The Owl House on Disney. And we decided to have him on to talk about the Owl House in this episode. So we hope you enjoy. He has so many interesting things to say. He has a really neat perspective on the show and really made me think about how magic works, what these characters are feeling, what they're going through. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. So what is your name?
My name's Johnny. I'm Johnny Moreno.
Okay. Um, Also, just fun fact that so I met Johnny in Ecuador. He's a doctor. Um,
Yes,
and we just found out we like the same TV show, so that's why he's on. And we'll
it
talk
was
about the TV
crazy.
show.
It was
Mm,
crazy. So actually Peter came to my home city, Guayaquil, in Ecuador, to help do some uh, GI surgery, general surgery procedures as as a charity for people with lesser means. So it speaks volumes of him to just get out of his way to come here and do that, like in helping in any way possible. And through that process, um, I was a translator there, and yeah, we just we had like small talk and I don't know how it came about, but we spoke about the Owl House, and it was just yeah, we were connecting and what you like this show? Yes. And
yeah,
long story short, I'm here.
yeah. In between conversations, like Johnny, he taught me a lot about like, gallbladders and stuff. So I know that they can form because of hormones now. Um, so
Yes, I explained the
yeah,
differences.
yeah. Um,
That's right.
so yeah, just I mean, I talked about Blanca's house in a previous episode actually, but just if you haven't checked it out, like definitely check out Blanca's house. If you want to donate, money or your time, like they're an amazing organization. Um, and you're helping doctors like
Love of
Johnny like
planet.
do their job and help people in Ecuador get, important surgeries. So yeah, check that out. But we're gonna talk about not not medicine. Talking about some the Owl House, the TV show. But before we get there, so we have a few more questions for you. Um, so what is your favorite book?
My favorite book is The Time Traveler's Wife by Audrey. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. So it's Neffringer, Audrey N. We'll leave it like that. But it's a New York bestseller, Times bestseller, the Time Traveler's Wife. It actually became a movie starring Eric Bana and Rachel McAdams. And it's a really cool book. Do you want me to go about what's about?
I mean, up to you. If however
Okay.
much you want to tell about it and why
So
you like it, I guess.
so every from time to time, every book it sort of goes on about the main character, right? And how what he does, what he perceives, what he feels. But during for this book, we perceive the story not through the character which is most incredible, most impact. No, it's actually through the eyes of his wife, and how she came to meet this incredible person who can travel time, and how she feels about what she has experienced by meeting this person. So instead, it's interesting in the way that instead of being a first person narrative on him, it's actually her. So it's just, it speaks about solitude, love, hope. Yeah, I like it.
That's awesome. I've never read it, but I've definitely heard about it. Um, but next question, do you have a favorite author?
My favorite author. That's No, I can't say I have a favorite author, but I have read um, a lot of books from, well, two books from the same author, Bret Easton Ellis.
Okay, I don't
He
know that.
did, okay, I'll Bret Easton Ellis, American Psycho, and The Rules of Attraction. So I read these two books from PDF version in the internet because those books are very gringo, so they're not available on the Ecuadorian libraries. Yes, but that's is the rules of attraction, how they write, the writing process. It kind of like it's kind of like if a hyperactive teenager just takes a notepad and goes on about his day. So it's not very organized. It's just thoughts put on a book, and I like it. I think my mind goes fast, and I could just keep up with it.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. So now this is kind of open-ended for you. Do you have like a fun fact that you want to share about yourself?
A fun fact. Um, well, I know how to sign. I learned how to sign in the States, in your state, in New York.
Oh, like sign language?
Yeah, American Sign Language. We
Oh,
didn't
cool.
we didn't speak about that. Yes.
Yeah, I had
So
no idea.
yes, I'm actually have minus 35 decibels loss of hearing in my left ear. So when I was younger, it was much worse. I had like a moderate loss of hearing loss in my left ear. So when I was brought to a healthcare system in the States. I had an appendectomy. By the time I got there, it was infected. It evolved into peritonitis. It was a big ordeal. I stayed in a hospital bed for around 30 days. I was hospitalized for like a month. So they put me in a room next to, I'm talking about Jacobi Medical Center in Bronx.
Okay.
And this hospital is so nice. It's so cool. Um, it grouped me with a person that was hard of hearing because I was hard of hearing at that time. And but this person's case was much worse, not just one ear, but both. And he knew sign language. Of course, I didn't. And he kind of like went on about it, the signs. And I'm like, what is this? Okay, let's do it. I love languages from a very young age. That's why I've also translated. I worked as a translator here in Ecuador. Um, and yeah, I learned how to sign at age 13. The persons at the hospital, it gave English, basic English literature, sciences, or math to the kids that were hospitalized for a lot of time, to not lose track of what's going on in school. So I asked my tutor, the tutor that was assigned to me, for them to teach me sign language in order to speak with my roommate. And yeah, just learn. And it's yeah, that's fun. So you're not seeing me, but I'm signing my name.
That's so cool. Oh,
Yes.
yeah, I had no idea. Do you speak any other languages?
I speak fluent English. Sometimes I mumble a little because it's not my first language. I had French lessons and Portuguese lessons when I was in school, but I had to drop them because medical school takes a toll out of your time. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, your English is already like amazing, and just sign language is impressive. I
thank
only
you.
know like a little bit because of a different show, The Dragon Prince.
I
I don't
haven't
know.
heard of it. This the one of the characters are hard of hearing.
Yeah, one of the characters is deaf and like she communicates through sign language. So, I mean, she has like another character who like she's a general, General Amaya, and she has like a captain who will interpret for her, but she's doing the sign language. And from
All
what
the
I understand, it's like it's actual sign language. It's not just like the animators like moving her arms. Like they actually moved it in the proper way.
nice.
Um, so like I know like I think this is like
The
what's
Dragon Prince
wrong.
is called
The Dragon Prince.
the Dragon. Yeah, I'm writing it down.
Yeah. So I only know like a little bit of sign language from there. So like I think like this is what's wrong. Um but
Good.
yeah, no, that's super cool. Okay, so we have two more questions. Why do you like stories? Like what do books, TV shows, movies, like what does it mean to you? The act of like storytelling.
So I think that just as a song invokes a certain memory or feeling in a person, I think that goes the same way with a book, with a TV show, and or with a movie. So it makes you feel something. It reflects. It causes you to get emotional. Project yourself with, hey, I think I felt this way before. I've had a similar conversation with someone, and it's just, yeah, it's just life, but you as an spectator, and not even that, because it sometimes it involves you so much that you feel part of it. So I guess that's why I like books.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great answer.
Sorry.
And then, okay, so the last question, this is just another fun one. Um, because our podcast is called Determination, Deliberation, and Dragons, we want to know what your favorite dragon is.
My favorite dragon. Well, if I had a favorite dragon, I've never thought about it before, but I guess my favorite type of dragon would be those long dragons with like small feet, just kind of like
Hmm.
really long serpent-like dragon with
Okay.
huge wings, kind of like Dragon Ball Z's dragon.
Oh, I never watched that.
Okay, kind of like Dragonair from Pokemon
Dragonair.
before Dragonite.
Oh, like
Dragonite's
the blue one.
pre-evolution. Yeah, the blue one. So it's
Okay.
Dragonair, and Dragonite.
Hmm.
So my favorite dragon-ish, like the feature would be like like a long
Like
dragon, kind
elegant
of like,
dragon.
yeah, it's elegant, exactly.
Okay, that is a wonderful answer. Um,
Because I
see,
guess the other dragons will be maybe too ferocious or too like, no, I would go for something like that, exactly, like more tamed and like respectful. Like, wow, there's the presence. Yeah.
yeah. No, that's amazing. Okay, so those are our questions. So now we're gonna move on to Owl House related things. So yeah, again, like we just really connected over this one show that we both watched. So I think, I was gonna ask how, I mean, how did you like first get into Owl House? I'm kind of curious too, like, is it a relatively popular show in Ecuador, or
Not at all.
no?
Not at all. No. Maybe I'm just I don't know. Maybe I really liked animated shows when I was younger. Like, I mean, I could sit down. I could probably just sit down and watch SpongeBob if it was on the TV right now in front of me. It was too funny, too hilarious. The
It's a good
stupidity
show.
of it. Yes, but um, so YouTube. Remember, I told you that I saw Owl House through YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that I was probably watching. Um, I was looking up information on about witches.
As one does, yes.
Maybe it's not a common thing, but yeah, I guess you have this one guy in Ecuador that would search on YouTube witches and the Salem trials, why it happened. Yeah, just
Mm,
I don't know. And then through that, since I watch animated shows on YouTube as well, like short clips, kind of like Pokemon or Digimon or so forth, maybe it was like, hey, you might like suggested from YouTube, and it was a good suggestion. So I just clicked, and then I clicked with the show. I just gave it a shot and began seeing it, and well, at first I didn't know that it was going to grab my attention the way it did. It was just very like a fresh air, like very young, naive sort of situation. I liked it. Yeah, I mean, life as a doctor, you know, it could be very monotonous. Did I say it correctly?
monotonous, yeah.
Monotonous and grayish adult life. And you know, there's emotion and love into it, but there's no creativity, artsy situation going on. So that gave me what that I also like the show, and it involved witches.
Involved witches. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can't comment too much on like the life of a doctor because I only know like that one week. Um, but yeah, I guess my question, so you already kind of talked about just like your initial impression of it. So you said like it didn't like it grabbed your attention in a different way the longer it went on.
Yeah,
Okay. In like what way?
that. So remember I told you that sometimes when we watch a movie, when we read a book, it's like, hey, I remember feeling this. I remember feeling something. Uh, you know, it brings back memories. It like heightens your emotional state. So I sometimes feel like one of the doctor's ¿cómo se dice? Weapons is detachment from, because if everyone's emotionally attached to every one of their patients, God, I mean,
Yeah.
so when you read a book, it's like you're in sync with your emotional side again, and yeah, it just the show um, was very warm feeling.
So like it's a place to feel those attachments that you're like trying to avoid as a doctor.
Yes, sorta speak. Yeah.
That's yeah, no, that's super interesting. I mean, that was a whole big, I remember like the last day, I think I was talking with like you and Rosa, um, and the
Yeah,
other
in the post
translator whose
court.
name I can't remember.
Impact you.
Hmm?
Impact you, yes.
Yeah, and you guys were all just talking about, feeling detached and like trying to like not get too emotionally like invested in anyone. Um,
Exactly.
and it is, that's just super like unrelatable as someone who's not a doctor. Um, so no, that's incredible. I can't really imagine like going from that place of detachment and like going to this show. I mean, are there anything like, so I guess I'm curious, like what is it about the show that you found yourself getting attached to? Like, was it the characters? Was it the story?
I believe it was the way the characters were not. So I sort of have to give a background on my experience as a person. So I lived until when I was 5 years old in Ecuador, and then I moved to the States when I was five. Yeah, and when I moved and I began learning English and stuff, I was very I was sort of bullied for my Latin accent. Perhaps it was more Sofia Vergara-ish at that time. So it was very strong male accent. I was learning English. And when I as I grew up, um, growing up in the suburbs in New York, in Rockland County, where I think there's like 100 white guys next to me. um, I felt different. And so that was me growing up. And when I moved back and then the last year, kind of like the last 2 years, when I moved from Rockland County to Bronx, it was a complete different setting. I mean, you go from the suburbs to the city. I felt like one setting I felt like an outcast, and then the other. And then when I moved back to Ecuador, I came back. I had to have a tutor teach me Spanish for 3 months before I got to school because I couldn't get a full sentence in Spanish, and I was about to go to school, so I had to learn Spanish in quick.
How
And
long
when
were
I
you in
got
the
in,
US for?
8 years,
Oh, okay. That's,
well, almost
yeah.
nine, from
I didn't realize you
five
were there
until
that
when I was
long.
14.
Okay.
So it's considerable amount of time. So when I went back to Ecuador, I came back to Ecuador. I still felt like an outcast because everybody thought differently than me. Everyone heard different types of music, different games, different ways of speaking, ways of going about things. Um, you know, and I still felt like a stranger. So why do I give this background? Because the show, they put this character that's from the human world into the magic world, and she's just a complete stranger and different than everybody else, and she's marginalized. She's being pointed at, and so maybe that sort of brought me back to channeling my emotions from 10 years back.
Yeah, there's like things trying to eat her. Maybe that's a little bit different from your
Yes,
experience. Yeah, no, there's definitely just, her being an outsider. And even before she goes to the witch realm too, like even
exactly.
she grows up in Connecticut and like she's weird and doesn't have any friends. And the mom even jokes about it, like, oh, do you have any friends who aren't like reptiles? Um,
Yes,
so no, I can see how that would be like really connecting.
relatable. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm curious too, like, because I think it's a big deal in this Disney show that the character, like, she's a Latina.
Yeah,
Um,
that's good.
and I know, like, for me, one of my favorite books that I've read recently, it was like this Armenian kid. There's not a lot of like stories about Greek people, but like the Armenia is like super similar in a lot of ways. And like I just related to the character. Like I think that we were supposed to like relate to the character in a lot of different ways, and I really focused on like the Armenian side of things. So I maybe like missed the point of the book a little bit, but I'm just curious, like, I mean, did that, Luz being a Latina, like how is that something that like was important to you? I don't know
So
how it would be different because I'm also thinking like from a US perspective where it's like there's so little representation
yeah,
in like just media in general and
that's a
like
big word, representation.
yeah, and we come from just such like a Eurocentric type of thing. So I'm really curious. I've never spoken with someone outside of the US about representation and if it's like as important or something that
So
it's talked about at all.
Yeah, that's a good point you're bringing up. Well, at first it was funny because the voice the voice is funny to me. The Spanish she speaks, it's funny. It's kind of like when Dora shifts to English or shifts to Spanish. It's funny, but it's a good type of funny. Like it's nice for shows to include Spanish speaking characters, and it's even funny now that I think of it. Connecticut, it's a very white state. It's it's not there's not a lot of diversity there. So having someone a Latin person from a coming from a white population, like it's funny. It's nice. So yes, I think representation matters. Um, to show up a different face, to show how a person how they're like um, their culture might influence how they behave. Because if I bring an Ecuadorian 15-year-old and a New Yorker 15-year-old, they would act and behave differently. I obviously think that.
Yeah. I mean, did it impact like how, your enjoyment of the show, like you personally?
No, I guess I never considered myself. I guess maybe if I was your typical Ecuadorian guy, maybe it would be different kind of impact. But I lived in the States, so I kind of like I feel like my identity, my culture is mixed because I definitely know that I think differently and behave differently than a lot of my contemporary people, people my age.
Hmm.
So for me, I think it's cool, but no, it didn't change my enjoyment of the show.
Okay. No, that's just really interesting. Okay, those are like the main questions I had, but I guess just generally, are there any other characters or things that you like in the show? Like,
Yes. Yes. So I was very compelled with the whole uh, frenemy situation between the siblings, Aida and Lilith.
oh, okay.
That was very complex to me. Like, if my sister would do that to me, like, I would cut her out of my life. Like, I don't know. I don't see that even happening. I mean, I have one sibling. She's my sister, and we always talk about how um, in the Latin setting, everyone is just so close to each other. People are very expressive, touchy, and affectionate, I guess. And I wouldn't, yeah, we wouldn't have a very bad relationship. So when the situation that Lilith was jealous of Ida and her strength, that was like what this that show that from then on that show was dark.
Yeah, no, for sure. It got super dark. I would hope like you never end up in a situation where like your sibling is like fighting you at the emperor's palace or
Yeah.
yeah, but no, it's definitely like I think seeing siblings was super fun, especially when you have siblings. And I just like because I don't know if like you and your sister, but like me and my brothers, we definitely, I mean, we love each other, but like we have, fights and squabbles all the time. Um, so there is just like this wonderful, like antagonistic, like, but good antagonistic like relationship with siblings, at least like
Like
in my
just the
experience.
petting, like small pettiness. I understand, but
Yeah,
to go about to be completely evil and lay a curse on someone, yeah, it's like I don't
yeah,
know.
that's a bit much.
Compared to our situation, it would be like if I made her fail a test. Why would I do that?
Hmm.
What
Yeah,
do I gain from that? Nothing. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know. That
yeah,
was something very interesting from the show for me. Like that was like, what? Why?
yeah, for sure. I mean, what? I'm curious because you said you were like researching witches and things, and that got you into the show. Like, do you, I mean, what is your relationship with like witches and stuff? Do you just like magic and stuff? Like,
So I guess, I mean, I lived in an ecological reserve, and I always felt like I'm connected to nature. And I don't know, I've always seen this quote that says, some people feel the rain and others just get wet. I feel that I feel the rain. I've always felt it. I feel the sun. I enjoy being in a hammock and just enjoying the wind and being peace. I guess that comes with a slow life setting, like the whole
mm,
peace and everything. And that allows me to believe in energy. And I think that some people can channel this energy, I think. And then that's when my mind goes crazy, and there's people that can channel this energy can do magic stuff like on the show. That'll be just really fun.
yeah, I mean, that's an interesting thing to just like tie, the magic in the show and like other magics and stuff into like this idea of energy. I think
Yeah.
that's really interesting. I don't know. Now I'm just thinking if I feel the rain or not. I don't know.
It made you think if you get wet or you feel the rain.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know which one I would be
So
next
have
time it
you
rains. What do you
I
think?
know that you're familiar with the with Gene Kelly and Singing in the Rain.
Yeah.
Okay, so my family is kind of like, well, you see me, you met me, and you see me right now in the video in the Zoom meeting. Like I'm always, ¿cómo se dice? Energetic and like nice. So I don't know. There's another word for it. Well, I don't remember this word. I feel that I'm sort of like this Gene Kelly character. Like I enjoy, I get up and dance just like my mom. Like she was doing exercise and then she just started dancing by herself, like in the middle of the house. Like I don't think some people are built like this and some people are not.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it's fine. You know, everyone does them, but I feel like you can appreciate little things and you can live better, like the rain, like the sun, like the wind, like the grass in your feet, not just the hard soles of the shoes.
Hmm.
Am I getting too philosophical here?
No,
You
I'm
can
just
stop.
thinking. No, I think that's really interesting. Like, I'm also just super curious too, like, because the way magic is presented in the show, they're like, oh, it's just like it's like biological, like it's a sack like on the heart.
Yeah,
Um,
like from their bile duct.
yeah,
Their bile that actually like made from their liver and it stores in their gallbladder.
yeah.
Something like that. That's what I like. What?
I mean that is like a medical thing. That's a whole different story. But like
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's interesting the way that you describe like energy and like how that like makes you interested in magic. And that's like very different, I think, from what they tell us like with this biosac. Like they kind of move away from like, oh, it's this energy and like connection and stuff, more just like this biological thing. But that's
But
not
then
how
you
Luce
have
does
loose.
magic.
Yeah, exactly. There you
Yeah.
go.
So like Luce is with paper, which is like not, so like where's the energy coming from that? So like maybe,
From the earth. Kind of like where I was going.
I mean, yeah, because with her, there's this idea. I don't know if it's like stated like super specifically in the show, but like the idea that magic is like a gift from the Titan, and like the Titan is where they build their cities and
Each-
stuff. Like that is
yeah.
the land.
The land makes
Um,
it. The land is miraculous, filled with energy and magic.
yeah. No, so that's just super interesting. And now I'm wondering like
Oh
But
yeah, I never thought.
it's also making me think though, because like Luce does go back to Earth like very briefly, and like
And
the
she doesn't
magic
have to.
doesn't work. So like I'm curious now, like I mean, I don't know. So at this point when we're filming, like only half of season two has come out in the US at least, as far as I know. Um, episode 11 is coming out this weekend. No, not this week, next weekend. Um, so I'm very excited for it. But I'm curious if we'll see like any sort of magic like being used back on Earth, like if Luce makes it back to Earth, um, for more than like a few minutes, like she did in season one. And I'm curious like what that magic will look like, and if it's like a continuation of what Luce has been practicing like in the demon realm, and if she keeps that like connection, or like listens to the Earth and like finds a like yet another way to do magic. I don't know. I'm super curious now. Your description of this has like opened up a few interesting possibilities, I think.
Yes. I always, when I remember when I was talking about this, um right now I can connect what I my experience of what I believe magic can also be, like uh you perceiving the gifts from Earth, and then how you well it the gifts from Earth is also like ourselves. That's why I studied medicine.
Oh, okay.
And 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 well, Luz, there's a I remember she at one point when she was trying to expand her spells, she was with a thing to see the small things. How do you call this?
Oh, the
Like
microscope, or
lens?
like she had a magnifying lens or something.
Yes, a magnifying lens, and she used on a flower, and the flower it had like the glyphs, the symbols.
Mm-hmm.
So she was like, "Oh, I see this now," and then she kind of like she channels, kind of like what I was saying, like she channels the energy of what the earth is giving you, and she produces magic.
Yeah. And I'm curious too, like, because we're told like, oh, it's the glyphs. But I'm curious like how much of it is like her and like her creativity. Because at the end of the day, like, she'll make like the same plant glyph, but it will produce like different types of plants, depending on like what she needs it to do. So like how much of it is also like her own sense of creativity, so like drawing the same thing, but having like a different outcome with the
Yes,
same thing.
it's her molding the whole effect. So I don't know if the other wait, yeah, I think that they can't see the glyphs like Luz does.
I
So
don't think, yeah, like
that
when
can
they're drawing the glyphs like in the air and like doing magic, I don't think they see it. But definitely like, because in season two she's teaching Ida
in
and
Lilith.
Lilith.
They're being taught the symbols
Hmm.
because they can see the symbols for themselves. So
Oh,
I think that maybe in that way we can compare ourselves, like us, Peter and Johnny can compare ourselves that we cannot see the glyphs and the symbols in our earth, but they exist. And I think that in the same way, maybe there's someone out there. I have hopes that can see through. They can see through, like have a third eye or something. Like they can see these gifts and channel it to, I don't know, something greater. I don't know. It's just me.
no, I mean that's really, yeah, because I hadn't even considered that they couldn't see them for themselves
Yes.
like in nature. Like what does that mean? Yeah, since you and I can't see them theoretically, like who
Yeah.
can? I don't know. I'm trying to think of other. I mean, okay, so like my favorite character is Amity, and like
I
I
mean,
just want, hmm?
mine's too.
Okay, good.
She has
I
more
just wanted,
character. She has more character development.
yeah, I just wanted to ask like what your opinion about Amity.
I think it's cool. She's kind of like you. Like she went through a whole different hair color faces. Because
Oh,
I
I
remember
dyed
when
my
I met
hair.
you. I remember when I
Yeah,
met you. You had your hair purplish a little.
it was
It was kind
purple,
of fading. Yeah,
and now
and now you have
you
it
can't.
green.
Yeah, I mean it's not very clear because it's in Zoom, but like it's I dyed it green because of Amity. It's kind of like the same color.
So yes, I think that I don't know exactly what does the hair color mean exactly, but the fact that she's just changing appearance goes hand in hand with how she's evolving as a person.
Yeah, I mean she's changed so much. I'm writing another podcast episode. So when we're not having fun conversations like this, I write some essays that
Okay.
I've been putting on the podcast, and I'm writing just like an appreciation of Amity and like why I like her as a character. And it's just crazy to think in the first episode she was in, she almost like dissected Luz,
Yes.
which is like that wouldn't have been good. She was almost responsible for murder. So,
Yes.
and like then they're friends and then girlfriends. So like there's, a huge shift, which is kind of just crazy.
She wasn't in touch with herself. I remember that when I was seeing the show, I was like, I never thought that she was going to be like so important in the show, Amity. And when her brothers spoke a little about her, and they said that, well, I don't know who said it, but she said that she's changed so much since she's met Luz, and that, well, she her sibling said, yeah, you've changed, but you're also more happy. You were very angry and not happy before. So it's not, you've not changed for bad. You're kind of like enjoying yourself now. So I guess that kind of like you're more in tune with yourself. I think that's cool.
Yeah, no, for sure. And just like, I mean, seeing more people happy is great. Yeah, no, she's amazing. I also just like I can't help connect her to Katara from the Avatar: The Last Airbender because it's the
How
same
come?
voice actor.
Really? I didn't
Yeah,
know this.
they even did in the episode where they go to Eclipse Lake to find the Titan's blood, some of her magic that she does, she puts it like in a pouch on her side, just like Katara used to put the water.
Yes. Okay. Yes. And she
So
kind of
there's
like goes like uses it as a shield,
yeah, she does a lot
like
of like,
waterbending style.
yeah, which I thought was just like a fun connection. And I love like she's doing like a little bit of a different voice. Um, and I
Yeah,
think
because
the actress, hmm,
I couldn't tell. I just learned now.
it's the same person. Like I think her name's Mae Whitman. Um, so definitely, I mean, Avatar: The Last Airbender was like years ago. I think it was like 18 years ago at this point.
What? Don't. You make me feel ancient.
But no, so like her voice has changed over the years, but and she's just gotten like so much better as an actress too. But I love that it's the same person. So like part of me can't help but just like see her and think about Katara, which is just super fun.
I think that also Amity is so her hair color is something cool. Um, and how, yeah, I mentioned already how she was very kind of like grim person, and like someone that's, because not happy with herself, she kind of like lashes out on people. One of them was loose. That's why the whole dissection thing occurred. And then she, yeah, kind of like she feels better with herself now. That's why she isn't angry at people, because she's at peace with her, sort of. I think I like that. Yeah, those are the two main things that I like about her. Oh, and the fact that she was bold enough to make the first move on Luz, like the first physical move. Like she kissed her on the cheek.
Mm. And even I think her brother even like points that out. And he was like, "Oh, like bold move."
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I think that's one of So me and my co-host Izzy, I think one of our favorite things is just seeing the relationship with Amity and Luce, and like we're just really enjoying it. So
Yes.
she's great. I even made a cosplay of Amity. Like I made a costume.
Really?
Yeah,
Of her
it's
clothes and the green hair.
yeah, I have like the school uniform. It's kind of rough. I'm not good at making them, but it was fun. Um,
And for people to go like, Amity from the Owl
yeah.
House.
The problem is I don't look a lot like Amity, but
Yeah, for the people that are hearing, Peter is I'm tall here in Ecuador, but Peter is like 6'2". What?
no, I'm not even
Yes.
6 feet.
No, you're taller than me. And I was 6 feet, 5'9" or ish.
No, because I'm 5'11 and a half.
Yeah,
So
Slab
like
looks like a giant to me.
I mean we also in Ecuador, like I had the hair cap, which was like making me taller.
Okay.
Like I don't know. But yeah, I think the one last thing I wanted to ask you was like, what do you want to see in like future episodes of the Owl House? Like what are you excited about?
What am I excited about? I would like to see, first of all, to be honest, more Luz and Amity, for them to have more more things that would prove their fondness of each other. Because I liked how, I don't remember exactly what went on in this episode, but I remember the feeling. I remember that, I don't know what was happening. I don't remember exactly, but so Luz and Amity were in like a tunnel and they were like in a love situation.
The
And
Tunnel of Love, yeah, in the
yeah,
Hootie episode.
yes. And Luz, Amity, like you could feel through her small gestures, animated gestures, that she was feeling really upset and really, why are you doing this? Like, why? She was screaming, why would you do this, Luz? And
Yeah.
Luz was just trying to, but not in,
I
but
mean, Luce is
why,
trying to like
what was
hide
she
her
reaction
crush.
to? Yeah, she was reacting to Luz trying to cover up her, trying to ask her out. And Amity was upset that she wouldn't just go on and do it, but just kind of like circle the situation too much. Like she was witnessing firsthand her inner turmoil, Luz's inner turmoil of what she feels for Amity. Is it real or not? Is it worth the while? Is it worth the agitation? I don't know. And I felt that Amity got like, saw it in a huge 3D movie in front of her
Mm,
eyes. Like it was a see-through, like it was an open book situation.
hmm
And she just felt like, damn, I'm so sure of what I feel, and you're obviously not clear of what you want, and that makes me feel bad. But well, I guess that's just life. It sucks, we all can't get everything that we want. And I felt like that was, see, those kind of situations, those situations can translate to real life in a lot of stuff. So I would like to see more of those situations where one person has to step up and show that they
like each other, stuff like this. I guess I want to see that again, like an episode that's very interesting that way.
Yeah. I mean, I will happily take more Luce and Amity episodes.
Yeah,
They're the best. So
and Ida fighting so like strong, like in the episodes where they were in like in the king's the castle, the palace.
oh, okay.
That was a really cool showdown of magic. That was really cool.
Yeah.
I would like to see more magic, more dueling, more fights.
Okay. But yeah. More magic is always good. Okay. But that's gonna be it for this. Thank you everyone for listening. Again, like Johnny's a amazing doctor from Guayaquil. Look into Blanca's house if you haven't done so already. They're just superb in every way. Yeah, and like thank you, Johnny, for joining us on this episode and for talking with me about the Owl House.
Gracias. It was a pleasure for me to speak my mind and for having you actually want to hear me and making it audience wise too. It's fun. It was my
Yeah.
pleasure. Thank you. It's nice seeing you again through the video call.
You too.